So I saw an 8-foot tall concrete culvert pipe.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Yep. I got nothing now.
Made into a tiny house.
Yep.
So it's a
Oh, are you
concrete.
serious?
I swear to God. So both ends have like a door or windows on the end, but you live in this concrete cave. So welcome to the Fine Homebuilding second installment of the second day live podcast, recorded live, podcast from the show floor at the International Builder Show. I am with Matt Milham.
What's up? Also known as interrupting guy number 1.
And Caleb Klein from the Pella Corporation. Caleb,
Hello.
Thanks for being on the show.
Yeah, you're welcome. It's awesome.
So what are you going to tell us about Windows today? What are you doing? What do you do there for starters?
Yeah, so I'm a product manager at Pella Corporation, so I actually have responsibility for all of our wood windows and patio doors.
And is that the majority of your company's product offerings?
A very good portion, yeah.
Yeah.
60, 70%.
And what else do you make windows and doors out of at Pella?
We've got fiberglass lines of products as well as vinyl, a number of different vinyl lines also.
Do you see a regional breakdown in popularity of products?
We do. Typically, the wood products are more traditional in nature, so we see more of a presence in the north and northeast part of the U.S. from that standpoint. A little different scenario as you head south, some more vinyl presence there, and so yeah, we definitely see.
What do people install out here in the
shift.
baking southwest? Because it's a climate that Matt and I are not too familiar with, coming from New England or New York. So
yeah,
what is it?
We sell a lot of wood products here, actually. So,
really? Do
yep.
they hold up in the weather?
Yeah, they do. The way wood windows aren't made like they were used to. They used to be made from that standpoint. So there's been a great evolution there in terms of design and performance, and from a warranty standpoint, those products are still really stable, and they perform well both thermally and things of that nature. So
do they have aluminum or vinyl cladding on them?
We do. So our wood lines are essentially wood clad offerings, so aluminum clad from that standpoint on the exterior. Yep.
And is there a changing popularity of color? Is there one color that's you sell more of than the other regionally?
Yeah, it moves around with trends from that standpoint. Black is hot right now. So,
everywhere, or is it limited to certain parts of the country?
Probably not so much parts of the country, but segments. So new construction, obviously, black's a hot trend. I think everyone's feeling that.
That seems like a bad color to paint a window.
Oh, it looks good though.
It does.
It does look good.
It does. It looks slick. It's
but
really
do you have
slick
problems
and
with
clean.
the thermal expansion with that?
No. We do a ton with the different paints and things that we offer. So a lot of them, reflect heat and things of that nature. Mm-hmm. So especially on an aluminum clad product, it's not really a problem at all.
Cool. Are there any warranty differences between the different, types? Does wood, aluminum, is there any variance there?
A little bit, but we, for the most part, we launched just over a year ago, so we have a lifetime wood warranty now on our products.
Is that for the original purchaser?
No, it's transferable as well.
Really?
So yeah, so it's a limited warranty from that standpoint, but
that covers glazing too.
Glazing's a 20-year from that standpoint, but yeah, anything structural from that standpoint is all covered within it. So we've got the best wood warranty in the business, and I think as you move down the composite materials and the vinyl, they've always carried really long warranties from a durability and maintenance perspective. So our wood offering's right in line with that now.
Cool. I've noticed that the glass has improved greatly in the last decade or so. Like, what is making seals last longer and windows not fog up? What is better about the glass?
Well, I think they've learned a lot. From that standpoint, everyone keeps evolving. The glass in our windows, there's a couple major suppliers across the U.S. that
Cardinal
really
and nobody else.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, fair statement. And so yeah, I think the technology's come a long way there, and it's just super reliable product anymore. So the longer those things are out in market, if you think about the life cycle of a window from that standpoint, it takes a while to understand how long those things are going to perform, and Cardinal's on top of all of that. So they've got a very reliable product, and we that's why we use it.
Sure.
I don't have anything else to ask about Windows. I guess you guys don't have a booth here, but have you walked around and seen any of the competition?
We have, of course, yeah. So we're here, we're here annually, taking a look at, what's hot, what are the trends, mainly doing trends research of, what things are we seeing as emerging from that standpoint, what do we think is going to stick, and what's fad, and thinking about different ways we can innovate in the space. So it's
what are you seeing that's new?
This year I think, Big has been around for the last 2 or 3 years, I would say.
I'm sorry?
big.
Just
so big sizes,
windows.
right? Big windows, big doors, right?
Really?
Have been kind of the hot trend. Plenty of that again this year when you look at it. But I think, some really unique things starting to surface with, I'll say textures of windows, almost like everyone likes the look of steel right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say almost like a faux steel or a simulated steel look.
How do you do that? Slim,
narrow, clean, minimalist type aesthetics, and the black finishes or slate, gunmetal, those types of colors bring some of those things out.
Are there
too,
any structural trade-offs when you want like slim stiles and rails on a window sash?
There can be. There definitely are some limitations, but for the most part, we've got some different offerings that accommodate that well. It's not, slim's not easy to simulate in every product line that we have, but we have 2 or 3 that, that are pretty minimalist in nature, some contemporary type designs that, when using the right color palette, you can simulate those types of things pretty well. Aluminum's another one, so aluminum seems to be back from that standpoint, more so thinking about how do you get thermally broken aluminum so that it performs. A bunch of different companies are playing around with it. It's generally mixing materials, right? So it's not a through aluminum product. There's some sort of a thermal break in there, whether it's vinyl or some composite material or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is there a certain operation that is better suited to the trend with the really slim stiles and rails? Like, my assumption would be a casement would be harder to make with that smaller profile than a double hung, for example, that's supported on both sides. Is that an accurate statement?
Maybe a little bit more difficult from that standpoint, but I would tell you the casement's the hotter product, just because it's more glass, right? So if they're looking for very minimalist frames from that standpoint and expansive glass, a casement's probably a better way to deliver that than a hung product from that standpoint. So, yep.
Are people into the European style windows? I lived in Germany for a long time, on and off for a while.
So tell me, what is that?
Well, so you have a handle, and they're, I guess, kind of casements, but you can turn it like halfway, and then you can just kind of open the window all the way in.
And it swings in unlike a...
Right? It swings in. Or you turn the handle all the way down, and the whole thing just leans back like a hopper window.
Yeah. So, there's... we have some of those offerings available. They're generally more premium offerings from that standpoint. But, tilt and turns. I think a lot of push-out casements on display here this year, too, that we're noticing. And
that seems like a very old style to me.
It is, but it's simple, so you don't have, there's the, the contemporary or modern trends of, expansive glass, less is more from that standpoint. So, what comes with that is generally, less obtrusive hardware and some of those things that come with a push-out and just simple, intuitive use.
I like the push-outs because you don't have to worry about, like, my issue was always I would have something on the windowsill. Or plants or whatever, and if you wanted to open the window, you had to move all that stuff out of the way. Or you just had to put the stuff somewhere else and just assume that you could never put anything in front of that window.
Except plants need to be in front of a window.
Yeah, exactly. Right? And so exactly. Yeah. Push out.
I never really got the tilt-turn window kind of thing.
I love them.
You do?
Oh, yeah.
Because of the performance?
I don't know about the performance. I just like being able to, like the tilt is nice because you don't have to have the window all the way open, and you don't have to worry about rain or anything getting in at the same time.
But does it really provide like enough ventilation to make it worth the hassle?
On a breezy day.
Like turning that handle and opening the window?
It's not that much more difficult. It's really not that hard.
No?
No.
Okay.
There's a cool factor about them too, right? They're just there's a lot of mechanics to it, but it's really pretty simple and intuitive motion, I think, to utilize them as well.
Do you guys make the hardware for those wacky windows?
We don't specifically on those.
That's all European stuff, right?
Yeah, a lot of it is. We partner with some third parties to deliver some of those types of things too. But those are definitely some things we keep an eye on. The European trends tend to migrate this way too. It just takes a while for those things to happen. So.
Okay, so you have, let's say, an unlimited budget. You're building your forever home. What kind of windows are you going to put in there?
Oh, that's a great question. For me, so I'm going to buy a Pella product, obviously, from that standpoint. But I'm going to put.
Can you believe you said that?
But I'm going to put our new lifestyle line in it, likely. So we'll spend some time talking about it. But so our lifestyle series line is essentially it's a wood-clad line, more of a mid-market position from that standpoint, though. And really, what we've done, we've had a couple product lines in the past, our Pro line and Designer series offering, that we've really taken a closer look at and taken kind of the best parts of those lines and combined them into this one. one. So dual and triple pane performance options from that standpoint. So it's really a mid-market performance line, if you want to think about it that way. So we can deliver some premium performance out of this line, really without the premium price tag that typically comes with triple pane type solutions. So targeting Energy Star's most efficient list with this line is a key target for us.
Is that like passive house quality product?
It's getting there. So U values, 0.20 type U values. So some really strong thermal performance out of the line. We're also doing some really cool things with sound. So thinking about noise cancellation and how do we reduce noise, especially as you think about urban settings and traffic and some of those types of things. So the privacy use case, obviously, and pulling that in close to front of the home next to a busy street or even bedrooms from that standpoint, keeping it quiet so people aren't disturbed.
So your windows would be casements, double hung, awnings. What do you want?
Yep. I'm a casement guy, so I would likely go with casements and some direct sets. So just big clear openings from that standpoint.
And in-swing patio doors.
I would actually probably go sliders actually. So I'm a fan of the sliding door. So
what do you like about those?
I just think ease of use and
space
and space savings. Yeah, you don't have a door swinging one way or the other, and some of those things. So.
Is it true that the thermal performance of a slider is not as good as is it still true that a slider is not as good thermally as a hinged patio door?
It's probably marginal from that standpoint. Anymore with the things we can do to improve thermal performance and the glass, like you mentioned earlier. I mean, there's Energy Star solutions across the line. So I wouldn't say there's a huge difference.
Do they relax the Energy Star requirements based on the operation of the product? Like, I know that the construction affects what the U value is required, right?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, you see some variation across product types from that standpoint, vent units versus what you see in fixed units. And obviously the requirements vary across the U.S., whether you're in the northern zone
on the climate zone.
Exactly. So yeah, those are all things we have to keep in mind, and but generally we're really good about having all Energy Star solutions across all 50 states from that standpoint. That's a target that we have. We feel like that's standard, right? And then we look at this line. This is kind of the above and the beyond. So how do you take really performance to the next level and do some things that are really unique, especially with a product line that's positioned where we're positioning it. So some good stuff. We're really excited about it. We've also got a ton of just unique features and options. Some things that have been Pella exclusives forever. So I don't know if you know, but Pella Corporation was really founded on a roll screen. It used to be called the Roll Screen Company. So
I had no idea.
We bring that back into play too. So retractable roll screens on casements and sliding doors.
Yeah, you see a lot of those here.
Yes.
It seems like a big thing, and they're cool. I like them.
They are, and they're they eliminate the need to have to remove a flat screen, in the off seasons and some of those types of things. If you really just want to see out the window.
Is it screen at the head of the head jamb, or
it is?
Yeah,
it is,
and it pulls down like a shade.
Exactly. So on a casement, the screen's at the head jamb, and then on a sliding patio door, it's really right in the interlocker portion of the panel and slides out.
That strikes me as a great idea.
So yeah, we've had a ton of traction with them. We typically held those types of features hostage to our more premium lines, and we're really starting to migrate those things down and see that there's great use cases there. People are really latching onto those things. So that's a key one for us. We've done blinds between glass for probably as long as anyone in the industry. I mean, I think the first product we put out in the market was in the late 60s with a blind between glass product. So this offering has that as well. So we've got blinds and fabric shades between glass that are accessible. So the third pane in our triple pane product is actually a hinging panel, so you can actually open it and get access to the shade and take it out over time, swap it out over time, whatever the case may be. So some really, really cool things that we've done, historically that I think, we've taken a number of different iterations on and improved them over time, and now making them available to a much broader audience is really what we're trying to do as we unveil the line itself.
What would you tell installers to have better chances of a leak-free window installation? I was over at the another booth looking at inset window flashing details, and for those of us in the Northeast, like, inset windows make no sense, right? It's very hard to flash compared to a window that's in plane of the wall sheathing.
Yep.
I mean, exclusive of that, what would you tell generally people to do to make sure your windows don't leak when you put them in?
You got to follow the install instructions, right? And that they're difficult, right? No one wants to read instructions from that standpoint. But I think what's unique is, and an opportunity for our industry in general, right? If you look at the number of different fenestration suppliers here, we all install windows a little bit differently, right? And that's probably the challenge from a contractor or builder perspective is
that's what they always ask us.
Is knowing what to do there. So we try to do a number of different things with, we provide the install instructions with the units. We have an online database of, where you can go in and get some visuals on how to install. But, a lot of the performance of the window really is dependent on how well the installation is done, right?
Everything, how it operates, how airtight it is, all that stuff.
And we've done a fair amount of things there too to help improve those. So different bracketing types and things for different construction methods, whether it's a block wall or a stick frame type construction, different clips and retention clip type things that we can do to better that installation. And then things like, kitting the window foam and accessories along with it. So sending foam and Pella tape, for example, to help seal that opening.
So you can actually get the install parts when you order a window or a window package?
Exactly. We make most of that stuff available. So
and the idea is that stuff is all compatible with your products and with each other.
Exactly. Coils coils, caulk, foam, tape, you name it. We have all those things that we distribute along with the windows. So we definitely put time into testing those things. We feel confident in them, so that's what we typically recommend as folks are buying those products.
And do you make those things yourselves, or
some we do? Some's just a sourced product that we've done the diligence testing and feel really confident in. So we basically just make it simpler for the builder and having it all orderable in one spot, so you don't have to go to 10 different places to get.
How do you test that stuff?
We've got an internal test lab, so we do a lot of environmental testing internally at Pella, which is probably a little bit unique. A lot of window companies generally, rely on third parties. Yeah. So we have our own lab, so we can tinker and play around with a lot of those things. So accelerated weathering and anything that goes along with it, we've got a ton of opportunities.
Sounds like a field trip.
I was just imagining like a kid standing there with a garden hose, just like for hours at a time.
A slam test, there's all kinds of things. Cycling, so robotics.
So you hook up a
slamming
robot
doors,
to a
slamming
door?
doors, yeah. Cycle them thousands of time and test all the components and make sure that they'll live the life cycle that we want to stand behind, right?
It's a somewhat perhaps simplistic question, but what do you expect a door to? How many cycles should it endure? What do you guys say is a lifetime? How many opens and closes?
It varies by product, and I'll 10,000 or something, right?
Really?
It's a crazy number that we cycle to from that standpoint. So we'll say that we expect the window or door to last this long, and then we'll typically double it, right, in terms of how many cycles we want to see, and so it varies depending on type of operation from that standpoint. But
you guys used to have a training program for installers too. Is that the case?
Yeah, we still do. We do. We've got a number of programs too. So Pella certified contractors. So with that certification comes with the product side, product detail training, as well as the install methods that go along with it too. Yep.
Do you think that helps?
Oh, definitely. I think from our standpoint, we feel like we have to do it, right? It's
in both of your interests for the install to work.
Right. Oh, it totally is. It totally is, right? Because we know the window or door will perform.
Yep.
But it's only as good as the installation. So we've got to make sure that those things are shored up, and that's a lot of you see some different things being displayed here this week too. There's kind of a refocus on the installation side of things too. For one, how do you take time and labor out of it? But also, how do you shore it up and make it, as foolproof as possible, so that neither party is dealing with, issues down the road. Yeah,
contractors want it to be fast and foolproof, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Well, it's been a pleasure having on your show. Man, let's try that again. It's been a pleasure having you on the show.
Yes.
Thank you, Caleb.
Great talking to you guys. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, man.
Yep.
So we're back now with Janice and Kelly Stitzer. Thanks to Caleb from Pella for being on a little earlier. But you guys are out here to check out the show for the first time. Is that right?
Yes, this is our first visit. It's crazy.
And you have a building company, a construction company?
Yeah, so we're mostly what we do is all kinds of roofing, commercial and residential roofing.
And what made you want to come out here to the Builder Show?
Well, for me, I have a general contractor's license, and I grew up in the industry, and I've never been here. So there's just a lot of, even in the roofing, industry, there's a lot of things here that I haven't seen at any of the roofing events. So,
what do you think of the show generally? What's your first impressions?
Wow. It's unbelievable. There's I mean, so much stuff here. It's crazy.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It'd be nice if they kind of like grouped stuff together, so you didn't have to walk all over the place to find all the roofing products.
Right. Yeah, that is kind of weird because, you know, yeah, it is, because you can have a flooring company on opposite ends. If you want to, you know, look at flooring companies, you're just going all over the place.
Right, yeah. They're like next to, there's like
window and door companies, they're all spread out.
And so next to like a coffee maker company and a balustrade.
Right.
Yeah.
You would think that would be pretty natural to do if they want
I think
clients to stumble upon new companies.
Yeah, they want everybody to walk past every weird thing and not have like competitors right next to each other, I think, is what it seems like. I don't know.
And I wonder if, like, from year to year, companies want the same booth space, right? Which would make it impossible to group them.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
That's true.
Because they keep adding companies, so...
Oh, yeah. So I don't know how many exhibitors, but I think it's around 2,000 that are here between the three halls. So the one hall is dedicated to the kitchen stuff, right? And then this is like kind of general construction, and then the other hall is like kind of smaller booths with lesser known companies, at least in my experience.
Yeah, and even in the kitchen and bath section, there's all kinds of other stuff over there that really could be in this hall too. Like Protecto Wrap is over there.
In the kitchen?
In the kitchen and bath section.
That's in case you want to, like, you know, protect your sink during construction.
Yeah. I mean, I guess you could build a sink out of it if you needed to.
That'd be so awesome.
Yeah.
So I'm going to start. I'm going to start with the wackiest thing you've seen so far, and I'm going first because I don't want you to steal it.
Okay.
So I saw an 8-foot tall concrete culvert pipe.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Yep. I got nothing now.
Made into a tiny house. Yep. So it's a concrete.
Are you serious?
I swear to God. So both ends have like a door or windows on the end, but you live in this concrete cave. Yeah. Sounds
like
nice, right?
Is that like a prepper's house or something?
I guess so.
Yeah.
That's the only kind of thing. I was scared to go in it, to be honest, because I'm like, I don't know what's going to happen in here. Not usually, but I was kind of worried a raccoon would come out of it or something.
Does it have like carbon dioxide scrubbers and stuff in it? Because they used to, in previous years, they had an actual bomb shelter.
Yes.
Like
a big steel
bomb
tank
shelter
that you put in the ground.
Yeah. I've seen those.
Yeah. Yeah, you probably get a lot of them out in Colorado.
Maybe. You never know.
I was telling Matt I'd rather die in a nuclear blast than spend any time in that thing.
Yeah. Survival of the fittest. And if I wasn't meant to survive, let me
So what's
go.
the wackiest thing you've seen?
I don't know that. I think you may have stolen it. I'm trying to think now. There is a pretty neat little, I don't even know if I'd call it a fountain, but it's like a wall of water that comes down, and the jets create shapes as the stuff comes down. So
it falls in a pattern.
It falls in a pattern.
Yeah,
and
I've seen that.
It looks kind of neat.
Yeah. What do you think that costs? I bet
Probably
it's really
a lot
cheap.
of money. The thing I don't even understand is this something for sale, or is that something that's just showing off another product? Because it's distracting me from whatever I think I'm supposed to be looking at. It's because it's way better than what they're selling, I think.
How about you guys? You found anything weird? How about weird shingle colors or stuff?
Not really.
Yeah, you just need a little more time to walk around.
I do.
We just got in this morning, so we didn't have enough time.
I have a thing for charcoal and gas grills, and like you can spend 20 grand on a.
Every man does.
Yeah, you can spend 20 grand on a gas grill here, and they are beautiful. There's some really cool stuff.
Yeah,
all made out of stainless steel.
I'm actually, blown away by how much tech stuff there is here. Technology.
Yeah.
I mean, geez.
Yeah.
It's come a long way in the construction.
What do you guys think of
industry.
that stuff? Do you see the value in being able to call and turn up your thermostat or open your door for the Amazon delivery and that kind of stuff? Like controlling your window shades?
Oh, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, see, that scares me to death.
Yeah.
I just like, I'd be scared it wouldn't work. And then my shades start going up and down at random.
I think that's really the barrier to what... in the construction space, there's so much technology right now, and there's a lot of, we embrace it and we integrate it into our business, but there's a lot of people who don't trust it.
Right.
Yeah.
So, now you can take pictures of elevations and it spits out within an hour of measurements, linear
all the
feet,
measurements of that
roof area,
exterior of the house.
Mm-hmm.
So is that software provided by the roofing products manufacturer, or is that a third-party kind of thing?
It's third party.
Yeah, and so have you found that to be pretty accurate?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Even
Super
more accurate than satellite imagery.
Yeah.
Satellite imagery is outdated.
So you guys used to try and estimate roof dimensions with a satellite, and you'd presumably scale something and then imagine
well, originally we would draw it. You'd be on the roof and you'd actually measure it, right? You'd draw it, you'd sketch it and measure it. And now, then everybody was using the satellite technology, or most people. Some people are still drawing them. I don't understand why, because you can literally
an hour to do it.
Yeah, and and not only that, the danger of it, right? But you can literally get one of these reports. It takes you 5 minutes to take the pictures at the most, and it costs you, what's it cost us, $20 for a report? For just a roof report.
It just depends how many facets, but yeah.
But it'll give you window measurements and everything. So I could do, if we're doing an exterior remodel, we're doing the roof, the siding, the gutters, paint, I can get all my estimates from my trade partners with them not even visiting the site.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah. Imagine how much time it saves them. Your trade partners. And
because you come up with a list of material in the old method, right? I used to sell building materials, and then someone's got to cost that all out, right?
Yep.
And then you got to take it to your sales manager and be like, give me some pricing for this good customer, right? And so that could take a day or two, right? Easily.
Well, and not only that, with this software, we can actually put colors, show the homeowner with an iPad, colors on the roof, colors on the siding, what it'll actually look like, so they can pick everything right from that rather than taking...
They're starting to integrate the brands, so like Boral, GAF, Owens Corning, all of those bigger brands are starting to be integrated, and you could pick...
So that's pretty cool. It looks even more like their actual product.
James Hardy siding,
really?
Yeah.
That is super cool.
I imagine they want to be in that. Yeah.
The company's called Hover. Yeah.
Wow, so you go out to the job site, you take some pictures, you send them to this third party, and then they generate your takeoff.
It's an app.
It's an app,
We just hit,
Send.
Have you heard about this?
No.
Wow, that's pretty cool. I bet that's made your lives better.
It's amazing technology.
Oh, it makes you way more efficient,
Sure.
And our trade partners, our painters, our window guys, because what do they have to do generally? They have to send somebody out to take measurements, right?
Right.
So then it saves them a whole trip.
Yeah.
It saves them a whole trip.
And I'm sure that leads to better relationships with you guys. Yeah, because they don't have to work as hard, right? They just have to do the work when it comes time.
Yeah. And they'll go in and verify measurements like they always do before ordering, but it does save time on the estimating side.
Have you guys had trouble finding qualified help through the years? This is something we've been dealing with for a long time here, and the Keep Craft Alive initiative is certainly part of it. And Matt met you guys out in Colorado at a meetup. Is that correct?
Yes.
So you were obviously concerned about this.
Oh yeah, it's I grew up in the business, so my dad is he's had his construction company for pushing 40 years, 35 years, and he's still running his company, and it's the same thing. That's in Central PA. We're in Colorado. They have the same issues there, finding qualified people because fewer people are coming into the trades.
What do you see as the solution?
I think it starts in the schools, before high school even, because a lot of schools these days don't even have shop class.
No, it's unusual to have it.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It was an easy thing to cut back when everybody needed to make cuts somewhere.
Right. So these schools are incentivized by how many kids they send to college, right? Mm-hmm. They're not incentivized by a kid that goes out and goes to trade school, goes to learn to be a plumber, an electrician, or a carpenter or whatever. They're not incentivized by that.
Or just graduates and goes right into the workforce. Yeah.
Exactly, but that's,
It seems like that's a success too, right?
Right.
We all need things built. It's like that's work that's never going to be outsourced.
But that's not on the reports or whatever that are that the real estate agents are putting out, trying to attract people to come to a certain neighborhood.
Exactly.
Like how many kids went to became roofers.
Exactly. Yeah. So.
But I think there's a direct correlation with home ownership if you actually think about back in the 50s, 60s, when kids did go straight from college into the workforce. They were able to.
Straight from high school, you mean?
I mean, yes, straight from high school into the workforce. They started their nest egg, and now they're going into college.
And they're starting
accumulating debt.
Yeah.
Right.
And so they're far behind. And so, if you want to argue the fact that maybe college is the way to go, look at the millennials who can't afford their houses,
right? And
or to buy houses.
Yeah, and it's dependent. I mean, it's case dependent. Like there are some kids, they're going to go off to college, they're going to be successful. They may rack up some debt, but they'll be able to pay it off relatively quickly. Whereas some kids, that's not really the good track for them. They may be able to go into the trades, and they have a head for it, a knack for it, and they're willing to work hard, and they can get ahead, and by 25 maybe own their own company, and they never had any debt, except for maybe their F-250 or whatever.
Right.
And then they're just like
conceivably a job in a union shop and make six figures when you're 25. I've heard of that happening.
And those people are buying a house. You know what I'm saying? Because they come out of high school at 18. They're buying houses in their 20s, where the millennials are buying houses in what? Their
30s or 40s.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think we talked to a guy at the Denver event who it was like 20. He bought his first house when he was 24 years old, and
it was a woman.
It was a woman.
I remember.
Yeah,
because she had talked about that. She had bought her first house. She was like in her early 20s.
Yeah, and had gone right into the trades right out of high school.
Yeah,
what did she do?
Skip college. I can't remember.
Yeah,
I can't remember either, but I distinctively remember her talking about it.
Yeah.
I sure question my life's decisions sometimes.
Yeah. Don't we all?
But I do think college does serve as, when you're so young, you just
get a chance to grow up.
You grow up, you don't really have a direction, and those 4 years kind of gives you an opportunity to figure yourself out.
A lot of people who graduated and then ended up in trades careers too.
Yeah.
Well, I went to trade school, and I know, I'd also gone to college, and for me, college, I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do, and it was a place to kind of figure out what I wanted to do, and as it was the second and third time I went. But so the third time was trade school, and there were a lot of kids there who were in, I guess, tech programs in high school, and then didn't know exactly what they wanted to do, but they thought they liked construction, and they got to college or got to trade school, and then they kind of just screwed off even more. So I don't know. For me, it's more an issue of like, how do we get people interested, not just in getting into this as a career, but interested in doing it right?
And that's a whole other ball of wax.
Yeah.
Because you have lots of tradespeople who are mediocre.
Yep.
And it's too bad. They just don't care.
Yeah, and I don't know how you train that, because I grew up, my dad's business is in a small town, and if you didn't do good work, you weren't going to be in business.
Right.
And if we didn't do a job right, he'd make us do it over until it was right.
Right. And
so I think you have to have mentors like that. I think that's the only way. They can't teach you that in the trade school, right? They can't teach you how to... You've got to have those mentors.
Was your dad a taskmaster? Was he easy to get along with? Was it difficult working for him? Is that why you have your own company now?
Oh God! I left there. My dad wanted me to partner and help grow the business, and I'm like, no. Yeah. Because my brother and I, always worked in the business when we were kids. I mean, we didn't go to spring break.
You went to work.
Yeah. When I went to college, I didn't go to spring break. I came home and worked for him.
Yeah.
Right.
I did that too. For my uncle.
Yeah. And in Christmas break, when we were in high school, we were working. So no, he was a slave driver, and he was always tougher on us than the other guys. He expected more out of us. So
and you can be meaner to your own kids than you can to your employees.
Yeah. But I think really our personalities are too much alike, and it's good that I didn't stay. You know what I mean? Our relationship's better this way. But I mean, I learned so much about.
At the time, you didn't feel like
at the time.
At the time, it was just hard.
Oh yeah.
Hard labor.
Yeah.
And that's construction generally. I think people romanticize like what a lot of trades work is. Oftentimes, it is just backbreaking, exhausting, miserable work, right?
Do you ever pour concrete?
Yeah.
I mean, it's freaking hard work.
It's hard work. So is roofing.
Well, yeah.
But you graduate, though. You know, he does get on a roof, but he doesn't swing the hammer.
And you don't have to schlep shingles up a ladder, I'm sure.
No. And that's, even like, whether you ever own your own business or not, that doesn't mean you can't move up in the trades. You can start, like our foreman, we got him off of one of the crews, and it's only because of his attitude of wanting to be better.
Right.
And he's great. He's done great. Now he's going to be our supervisor overseeing and training the foreman. As we're growing, we need to add more foremen, and he's moving up to the supervisor position. So, yeah, there's opportunity there, even if you don't own your own business.
You hear that often is people start at the bottom, and you learn from the people you should learn from, and you ignore the rest, and do a good job.
Yeah,
and you
like
get recognized. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And how do you find those guys? Is that just luck to find someone who's willing to grow in the job like that?
I think you can attract them.
Yeah.
I think you attract them. Some of it might be luck, but if you're building your company, I think people will come to you if you're doing
it's successful.
If you're making it successful and you're building an atmosphere, a culture that people want to be part of. I think that's a big deal. I think you'll attract the right people. You'll attract the wrong people too, but you'll be able to figure out
that they're wrong.
Yeah. And early on.
What are some of the ways you try and attract good talent? Pay?
That's always a factor, but I think also, like I said, the culture. I think the culture of your business is probably more important to attract somebody initially than the pay. Janice can probably speak to this better than...
culture, we look at what we are able to have, and that's flexibility as business owners. So flexibility if our kids are sick and one of us can stay home from school, or Kelly will take.
We stay home from work.
School. Yes, I'm sorry.
I knew what you meant.
But yeah, we have the flexibility to take a week off, and we provide that flexibility to our employees. So
that's awesome. Because people with kids sometimes just have to deal.
Yeah.
And we don't track paid time off. We have a pretty open policy when it comes to that. If somebody needs to go to a doctor's appointment during the week, they let us know. It doesn't account for any type of accrual of any, just because that's just our culture. If they need a 3-day weekend, we'll give that to them in the middle of our high season. So because that's just the type of culture we want. We want that flexibility. We want our employees to be able to come to us and say, look, it's we've worked 4 weeks of 14-hour days. Like our foreman, he works 14-hour days, but now in the dead of winter, he has a salary coming in, and he doesn't have to.
He can go skiing.
He can go skiing.
He hasn't worked much the last 2 months.
He doesn't have to worry about they're going to lay me off, because in the roofing industry, it's very common to be laid off and then collect unemployment.
That would make it very tough to attract somebody who's got some smarts and a work ethic, right? Because that's hard life.
Yep.
Yeah.
It is. So you want to be able to provide stability and flexibility. Yeah. And that's kind of how we're structuring our culture.
And is that something that you knew you wanted to do from the beginning, or how did you get to that understanding of what you wanted the culture to be?
That's a good question.
I think it evolved because we were in this industry, 1099 contractors are very common. So that makes it really easy for a company to go, oh, okay, we're a seasonal business. We can hire 1099 contractors, and when we need them, they're there. When we don't, we just let them go. Mm-hmm. But again, we don't want to keep on training different people for the same role. Right. Mm-hmm. And we just got tired of that, and that's really when we kind of looked at each other and said, we need to do something about this. We need to build some type of sustainability within this particular role that we can keep somebody. And they have to value that, because our foreman, who we pulled off of a crew, he was used to making a ton of overtime during high season, but we had to explain to him, look, you might not get a ton of overtime because now you're on salary, but you're going to get
a paycheck 12 months a year
when you don't have to come in and work for 4 weeks in a row.
Yeah, really. It's like being a teacher. I mean, they get summers off, and they still get paychecks because they're busting their butts the rest of the year.
Yeah.
And taking care of everybody's kids.
Yeah. They should get paid.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Whatever you need to.
Yeah, and it's even more than the, having to take off because if somebody wants to go to Disneyland or whatever.
Their kids to Disney on a low week so that they can really enjoy it versus having to fight the crowds
during spring break or whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I mean, basically, our people, if their work's done, we don't say you got to be here until 5 p.m. To watch the clock. I don't care. You got your work done. Go home.
Yeah. See you tomorrow.
And I think honestly, I think honestly we get more production out of them.
Yeah.
I think we actually get more because they have that freedom.
Through the summer, they put in their time, and we recognize that, and so they value that. We recognize that they've worked overtime without having to ask, and that's kind of the beauty of the culture is we're putting in our time. We know we have to get this done. Come low season, we know we can kind of relax and chill out.
Yeah, just being relaxed and not being stressed out and knowing that you have that flexibility has got to be, I would think that would contribute a lot to, being productive, just knowing that you can hammer it hard today, and then tomorrow if you need a day off, you don't need to be here.
Do you think that a part of the equation is having better clients? Obviously, you don't want to have to be the cheapest company, right? You want to have good clients who can afford to pay you to do a good job. That's something that we stress, right? It's don't go to the bottom, go to the top.
If you're the cheapest, you're out of business. You just don't know it yet.
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now, that's as straight as I can put it. If you are always the cheapest bidder, you don't know that you're out of business. I'm serious. You are out of business.
Do you see that?
Heck yeah.
Yeah. You know who your competition is? Are there guys that you're just expecting within a few months to just have to close shop?
Oh, yeah. There's in our business...
Or they just keep up with volume, and that's how they survive, because they are using...
Subs.
But then to fund the next project, they have to get the next subsequent
That is
project.
a scary way to run a business.
And it's a very scary way to run the business.
That's why I'm saying you're out of business, because if you're not job costing every job, that you're making your margin on every job, it's not a volume business. It's not you can make it up on this next job. No, it doesn't work that way. Every job you need to make your margin.
Sure.
Right? If you don't make your margin on every job, you're going to be out of business.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Otherwise, you're just giving it away.
Right. Yeah. You're working you're just that money's just changing hands, right? Mm-hmm. That's all it's doing.
You're not making it. It's just buying the next stuff.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's been awesome talking to you guys. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Glad to be here.
Yeah. It's good to see you guys again.
Yeah. You too.
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you all for listening to this second edition of the second day at the IBS floor in sunny Las Vegas. Happy building.